We are back in the quandaries that is the discovery theories for the next episode. We have the entire crew of the Captain's Quadrant. No jokes this time. Truly going to have VHS James with us, which is amazing.
Yes, I have been told in no uncertain terms to keep it clean. So I promise tonight I will keep it clean.
Yes, and of course we have Jason Roy Gaston, who's a little battling his own self there, his body. We're glad you can make it with us. We're so excited.
I broke a tooth, so I am talking a little bit out of the side of my mouth today.
Yeah, he's not trying to be
I did not have a stroke.
No. And he's okay. He's not that bad.
I'm not going to come wheeling out of the corner, you know, beep, beep, hello, everyone. I have a Star Trek theory.
Well, to be fair, and to be fair, and to plug you the other shows, you did just watch Vilma season 2. So if it had a stroke, kind of would have understood.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord.
It's like you just watch bad things on the internet, except for the Star Trek.
Yes.
Why do you torture yourself this way?
Sometimes it seems that way.
Yeah.
Self-loathing.
I don't know. I think it's a kink. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Hey, keep it clean here. We don't.
That's right.
Like me last week.
All right. So as you saw for the thumbnail, there is a gigantic super weapon. It kind of in one way looks like the Terminator from the Terminator movies. It has like that red eyes in the center, and we're assuming it's the Progenitor weapon. And what is the Progenitor weapon? How is it that the Breen get a hold of it and make the world go goodbye? Or the universe, actually. So here's my theory. I think that the Progenitor weapon is actually the living construct from the what do you call it? Prodigy, from the Prodigy series.
Prodigy?
It's the same. Yeah, Prodigy. Remember at the end of Prodigy, the Supernova 1 and 2? The Diviner had that weapon underneath the Protostar, and it was like a big tentacly thing that just kept rolling, and it was like an unstoppable weapon.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what my assumption is. I'm thinking the Progenitors created that.
I think the most important question is, what would the weapon actually do? Because if we know what the weapon does, and being that it's Progenitor, wouldn't you assume it has to do with life altering, life ending, life beginning? Because we're dealing with it at that level, right? We're not talking about a new phaser. We're talking about something,
huge.
Universe change. Yeah, huge.
Yeah. Do you guys remember that episode of Strange New Worlds, and they had to stop the comet? Like the comet was going to smash on the planet, and then then that species came out.
Wasn't that the first or second episode?
It was like the second episode. It was a really good episode. It still sticks in my head.
It was the second episode, if I remember right.
Yeah. That species gigantic ship looks like it has, like, from the picture that we saw. I'll pull it up. Boom. Kind of has some of that, like the way it's curved and metallic. Kind of has some of that same technology. I'm wondering if that's connected.
I don't know what you're picking out from what there.
Headquarters, though, in the picture.
What's that?
Yeah, that's Federation headquarters. It's all like bombed out and.
Yeah. So I don't know what the weapon is. Where is the weapon?
I thought the weapon was this.
No, this is the result of the weapon.
That's Federation headquarters. Yeah.
Oh.
Was,
yeah.
Well, what do you think, Jason? You're the one who's come up with this theory.
Yeah,
what do you think the weapon is?
Well, here's what I'm thinking. Why are we assuming it's a weapon? Because if you remember the chase, the Progenitors were the only people on the galactic stage at the time. So why would they need a weapon? I don't think it is a weapon. I think it is a means to create life. And I got to thinking about how would the Breen even use this against the Federation? And then it hit me. How do we know that this was a Breen attack? How do we know that the Breen and the Federation didn't join forces to stop what came out of the Progenitor technology? Because I got to thinking, what a great Star Trek idea for these two people who have been enemies for almost a millennia by this point to finally have to join forces and say, this is a bigger threat than all of us. We got to do something about this. So that's my theory, is that the progenitor technology, the progenitor technology isn't a weapon. It was never meant to be a weapon. Like any kind of technology in the wrong hands, it can be destructive.
Yeah. And I think you're 100% right. I don't think the progenitors have ever built a weapon. They're going to use that tech. Whoever's using that tech. But I love the idea of, out of pure necessity, the Breen and the Federation have to team up.
It would also be
that is very Star Trek.
It would also be a great place, a great way for Locke to get out of that blood debt thing that he's in.
Oh, like super happy ending for everybody.
Yeah, why not? Let's have a happy ending. Let's have Maul and Locke go off and have little green flubber babies, and just.
Oh, he has to do the flubber dance, though.
Yeah. I think
pretty much.
Pretty much. That's interesting. Jace, do you have any theories?
I'm just building upon what Jason's been saying, because I think that's the most credible one at this point in the series that is doing this. I also think, to go back to what Jason said a few weeks ago, the Breen aren't the big bad in this, nor the progenitors, nor is it going to be anyone. I think it's a chase against time. I don't think we're going to see that attack at all, because that's in the future. So what they're trying to do is stop that future from happening.
Right.
Somebody cue the Bradford old Terminator music for me. But that's what they're trying to do. So, I think we're getting a threat of an enemy. And I've thought about this more and more as we spoke about over the few weeks. But there is going to be no enemy. Yeah, it's about it, and I think at the end of it, it'll be the big kind of save from this will be getting the Breen and the Federation together, something that was not possible 800 years prior.
Or still to this day, because it seems like they're still...
No, but if they achieve it, they've achieved something they couldn't do almost 1,000 years ago. So it would be a momentous way to go.
It would. That would be a hell of an ending, too, because then they would have a new type of Federation. Oh, man. The technology that the Breen have.
I copped it about this when I mentioned this, because somebody said, oh, look, we don't want to do that again. But I am still thinking that Michael Burnham might make the end. And I think he could do it in a way that doesn't come across of, oh, great, we've killed another African-American captain. Because I think that's a very simplistic way to look at it, because what Cisco did was the most selfless thing anybody could have done in that situation.
Yeah.
And I just think, I don't know where her arc is after this show. They're not going to make movies with it. If she appears anything, it's just going to be a guest star spot. So how do you give Michael Burnham the perfect end to her character? And I think there's an opportunity here in this show for her to sacrifice herself for the greater good of harmony between the Breen and the Federation. And I've never been right about a theory yet, so don't bet on
it. It's probably not what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably not. But I think you could do it beautifully.
Yeah.
You could do it really emotionally with her going. I also think the Discovery crew has to split apart, doesn't it? If it's the end of it.
Right.
If we want these other characters to keep moving on, you kind of got to end that story, don't you?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, but I think they're going to give us the happy love ending with Books. I think her and Books are going to get back together.
I think that would be...
And I think they might end up at Starfleet Academy together, and they'll make guest appearances like every now and then.
But Joe, don't you think if you've just spent a few weeks kind of ratifying their previous relationship and coming to peace with each other, isn't that a complete waste if they just hook up together? Because isn't that part of the storyline at the moment where Michael, they had a thing, they're no longer a thing, they're working together, and now they're friends again.
Right.
And so to me, that's a very progressive way to deal with relationships on Star Trek. Because and because of kids, sometimes you've got to continue a relationship with someone you've broken up with. Here, you could do it in a mature way. And I just think if you went back to romance, I think it actually makes Booker more of a beta boy Booker.
No, not beta boy. Wait, where's that image?
Oh dear, no. I like the idea of the cyclic nature of stories, because we've already seen it with Rayner that he's a disgraced Starfleet officer who's being given a second chance, like Captain Burnham was.
Yeah.
And so she's taken up the Philippa Georgiou role for him. Book is craving family at the moment because his entire homeworld's gone.
Yeah,
he's
true.
found that with Maul. So I think that's where he's going to end up. Is he's going to go off with Maul, or maybe lock in Maul and say, we're gonna be a family. You love Maul, I love you. Let's go off and let me mentor you now. Let me be the mentor like your father was for me.
They're kind of cut of the same cloth, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then Burnham could step to the side and say, Rayner, this is your ship now. I'm gonna go do this over here. I'm gonna go on to the next adventure.
What if we did a reverse Evil Dead scenario where she alone gets transported back and no one believes her?
That would be funny.
That would be funny.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a way you can do it. You get the Red Angel suit again. Where's the Red Angel suit?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's probably still around.
Yeah.
Sure.
Commander Burnham, what do you mean the Breen looks like lime jello? I don't believe it.
Somebody's the last shot of her is in a Federation asylum.
Yeah, just like Spock was in season 2. That would be a really neat callback. Do you think we'll have any like crossovers
next door?
Do you think we'll have any more crossovers? I think they're doing it, aren't they? Isn't the Breen a big crossover? I mean, we're getting out. Seems to be a lot of Deep Space Nine love this season.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, there's
love me some Deep Space Nine love.
Same. Yeah, love Deep Space Nine, but I just mean like somehow they pop into another like Section 31 movie that's coming out. Like, is Georgia going to pop up?
Maybe
build that up.
It wouldn't surprise me, but it seems very tacked on.
Yeah.
And I think if you're doing crossovers, I think you're doing it in the other shows, aren't you? Lower Decks is nothing but fourth world breaking, which I love. And then absolutely Strange New Worlds have done that.
Yeah.
Crossovers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think one of the big thing about Discovery, whether you love it or hate it, is it does stand alone.
Right.
They've done a very good job, whether you love or hate it, of being its own Star Trek show.
Right.
So with that, I would like them to do what they keep doing, but just to keep it really about Discovery.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, Jason Roy Gaston, do you have anything else that you want to add before we sign off here?
I'm still going to stick to my guns and say every single crew member is going to make it to the end. I don't think they're going to kill anybody off. It would just be, if they killed off a crew member in scenes that they shot after everything was done and they're like, oh, we got canceled, we got to shoot some more stuff to wrap it up. I think it would be as tacked on and as useless as Tucker's death.
Oh,
wow. So let's not do that. Let's just let him go off into the sunset, just like the TNG crew did.
It is also a fair point, because then you've also got the challenge. If you are going to end all these characters, you have to deal with that. What happens to Adira and Gray? What happens with the engineer and the doctor? What's happening with? We know what's happening with Tilly, but you kind of got to end all that, don't you? And I suppose if it continues on and everybody's fine, well, you don't really have to end it. But I still think that at the end of this series, there's no Discovery. So maybe someone doesn't die, but that ship is gone.
Oh.
I think they're going to end the ship.
Interesting.
I could see that.
And the riders, I don't know.
Again, to me, it would be something that they would have had to have added in reshoots.
Yeah.
And I just think it would be extremely unsatisfying if that was the case.
Well, but then you've got this lagging thread of a spore drive machine, which that Federation doesn't seem to give two rats about investing in that tech whatsoever.
Yeah, I would totally bring that back. I'm like, hey, let's do these.
So you're going to do something. If you're not going to kill it off, then you're going to at the end of it, the Federation is now utilizing spore drive technology and their other ships.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just like we don't care about the ship. We don't care about the tech. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never been right on one theory.
One of the questions.
I've got my own Star Trek show going up.
One of the questions that we had gotten, and either the live or one of the other videos that we did, was the question is, what is the flagship of the Federation now? Is it still the Enterprise? We don't know in this century. Is it Discovery?
My impression is that it's Voyager.
Really?
That was my impression, is that Voyager is like the ship that everybody is oohing and ahhing about. It was the ship that they offered Burnham after she saved the Federation from post-burn, and it's to me it just seems like a really choice assignment. So that would be my guess, is that it's Voyager. One thing I want to see, just from a purely selfish point of view, I want to see the 32nd Century Enterprise.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see it, even if it's just mentioned, just to know that there's an Enterprise out there in the 32nd century.
Did they mention it when they first came? No. Oh,
they've never mentioned the Enterprise in the 32nd century.
Interesting.
Maybe that's what they're planning on doing with that ISS Enterprise. They're going to refit it, and it'll be the Enterprise of the 32nd century.
Well, isn't
they need all the ships?
Isn't the Enterprise J the 32nd century ship?
It's the 26th century.
Yeah. So you got another
J's in the past?
years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh,
Jay was involved in the temporal wars, if I remember right. Which I would love. Hey, you know what? The J could still be around, and based on the new skinning that they gave the J, where it's got like a transparent exterior and everything, I would love to see that in Discovery. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Wow. So there's no J. So I wonder what letter we're up to. Maybe they started over AA.
Maybe it's AA. Everybody on
Enterprise
board.
X. Let's get hardcore to 2000 style to the max.
I like Enterprise AA. Everybody on board is a recovering alcoholic.
Everyone's just smoking and really surly.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Captain Smith, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. Captain, you don't have to say that every time you open a channel. Sorry, I'm a little drunk.
Do we need to tie everything back to the Enterprise, though? That's the other question. Do we need it? No, we don't.
No, we don't. It doesn't have to be a major thing. It's just kind of like, oh, look, there's the Enterprise.
Discovery.
Yeah, exactly. That's the big ship.
But the more I thought about when they kind of dismissed about like Discovery and the spore drive and the engineer mentioned it, that's bugged me. It bugged me a lot. Not just from the Federation. Like, why, Starfleet? Why would you, in a situation when you're putting scrap parts together, why wouldn't you look upon this as the future, even though it's from the past?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, hey, we have an engine that can take us there instantly, or we have an engine that can take us there a lot more slowly. We're going to go with a more slow engine, if you don't mind. It's fine.
Yeah.
Have they figured out how to make
which is completely counterproductive for the rest of their tech, because these days you've got personal transporters.
Yeah.
You can replicate guns off your wrist.
Yeah.
Like
it's the technology they have from Star Trek Elite Force Voyager, because they had all their guns stored in transporter buffers, so they pulled them out.
Oh, that's neat.
It's a great game.
That was a great game. It was so
did not play that game. I'll have to see if I can find
it. It was awesome multiplayer as well. Had an awesome multiplayer aspect.
It was really good.
Yeah.
They had a photon torpedo bazooka.
Oh
yes,
oh my
yes.
Hey.
And a little light. That was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Boom. It was awesome.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this queries as to what our theories are. Please join us Fridays at 9 p.m. to see if these came into fruition or whatever happened, if we're right or wrong. We've been right a couple of times. I mistakenly stumbled into the progenitors.
I'm still waiting for nut bugs.
Wait. Jason has been right. Not we, Joe.
No. Hold on. Right. I said I made a mistake and thought that what he was talking about with the Iconians was the progenitors. So I was thinking, and my mind was focused in the progenitor thing. So I'll take that point.
This is what they call a long bow, Joe.
Hey, you know what? It's like the quiz game on the Trexperts channel that we were just a part of. Every now and again, You just got to give him a point because you feel sorry for him.
Yeah. Well, I think we could make a compilation out of Joe's appearance on that of just him saying,
I don't think we should do that.
It's Picard.
Cisco.
That was your answer for at least half a dozen questions, I reckon.
Cisco.
Yeah. What was the name of the USS Picard?
Oh, crap. I didn't let him finish.
Hey, look, a big shout out to the man next to us, though, who
he
brought it home in the warp speed section.
Yeah.
After I was giving you guys stick on the messages, come on, what is this? You're supposed to be representing the channel. And, mate, I'll take a point for being a good coach because after that man was on fire afterwards.
Yeah.
In my defense, I really wasn't even reading your messages, so
we couldn't. He told us we couldn't look at the stuff.
Yeah, that's one part of the story we could have left to after we'd filmed. She just gutted my whole thing about being a coach. Either way, we won it.
Yeah,
see, that's how you do it, Joe. We won it. No, Jason.
There ain't no we in this. That was a me.
That was all you, dude. I can't take it.
Take that W, turn it upside down. That was a me.
Well. That's why I was like, I don't go anywhere without one of these two guys. So
I know there is no I in team, but there is an M and an E.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And it was in that case, but
anyway. Indeed. Well, I knew that. I was like, I remember a lot of Star Trek stuff, but vaguely, so I couldn't get like episodes and stuff like that. Like,
he's a lovely guy, though. I've spoken to him. He's trying to get me on the show. It's like, mate, at least we're doing Star Wars.
Yeah,
I'm no good.
You think you'd be as bad as me, or?
I think it'd be worse.
Oh, nice.
It'd be worse.
It would have been great if you were on that, because then I would have been.
I'm not au fait with Star Trek trivia.
Yeah.
So, and I come at the show. I like that I come at the show from a different perspective than you two guys.
Yeah.
I come from an old classic. Oh, what's the storytelling like? Does it make sense? Does it,
Yeah.
And you're like, pew, pew, USS this was in this episode. And that's where it goes over my head.
Amazing.
No, I'm getting better, though. I'm getting better. I'm doing my research these days. I'm watching a lot of stuff.
He is, ladies and gentlemen. So he is going to be a contender for sure.
One day.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. We will be back Friday. Make sure you tune in. It'll be a lot of fun and live long and prosper. Let's see if we were right.